Getting everybody into the starting lineup today. Everybody didn't start in game one, gets a start in game two, including Gregor Blanco, who had a couple of plate appearances in game one. Brett Pill making his first start of the series at first base. Hector Sanchez, who had the game-winning hit in the opening game of the series, also in there. He'll do the catching for Madison Bumgarner in game two of the doubleheader as Dylan G makes his third start of the year.
Well, he's been outstanding so far. And you talk about, what do you say, house money? I guess that's what Bruce Bochy is playing with here in the second game as they won the first game 6-1. Dylan G, you see his numbers have been outstanding, especially the walks would plagued him a bit last season, but he's been spot on with his control. And playing behind Dylan G in the second game of this doubleheader, as you look around, Bay, Neuenhuis, Hairston is going to get the start against the lefty Bumgarner in right field. Wright, Tejada, Murphy, and Turner. So Ike Davis and Duda out of the lineup against the left-hander, and Mike Nikias gets the job catching.
In fact, Terry Collins shoved every available right-handed bat into the lineup. Now, the Mets, who made a player move before the first game, have made another in between games of the doubleheader. They activated Jeremy Hafner in game one. He turned in 3 scoreless innings in his big league debut. And for his trouble, he gets sent back to Buffalo in between games of the doubleheader with a great pat on the back and a shake of the hand. And the Mets have activated Jordany Valdespin, who is on the bench wearing number 1 and available for the game today.
Well, you have to say Hefner's job, he was just fantastic. Probably one of the few highlights in game one.
Gregor Blanco will get things started in game 2 for the Giants. He came off the bench in game 1 and drew a couple of walks. This is only his third start of the year for the former Atlanta Brave.
You know, Blanco's game is kind of slash and run, doesn't have a lot of power, likes to bunt. He might try to take advantage of Turner as kind of a new first baseman, try to drag the bunt that way.
There's Jordany Valdespin, who just joined the ball club. And the first pitch of game 2 swung on and missed. And so Blanco in attack mode on the first pitch fastball by G, and we're underway in the nightcap. It'll be Blanco, then Melky Cabrera and Pablo Sandoval for the Giants in the first inning. Mets and Giants playing 2 games in one day for the 36th time in their history. Swing and a miss at the signature changeup by G, and it's 0-2.
Well, that's the thing that G has done that the coaching staff wanted him to do last year. Use all of his pitches from pitch 1. Already 2 different ones already.
And in his last start against the Braves, he used a lot of curveballs early in the game, something that had really been difficult for him to do. And he was very successful in that game. Went 7 terrific innings, allowed a run on 4 hits, and a 6-1 win. Now ahead on Blanco 0-2. And he pops one foul off the left side, right over for a look, but that's in the crowd. This will be G's last start as a 25-year-old. He turns 26 on Saturday, which should be his next start in Colorado. In Houston, I should say.
I was going to say.
No, it is Colorado. I got it right the first time.
Not a great birthday present. Never know.
Depends what you make of it.
That's right.
A ball and 2 strikes to Blanco. The Giants have now won 4 of their last 5 to get over 500. They're 8-7. Lined into center field, and Blanco has a leadoff base hit. So that's the way game 2 begins. Gregor Blanco on base for the 3rd straight time in this doubleheader. And Melky Cabrera comes to the plate. Cabrera 0 for 2 in the first game today. He's just 2 for 8 in the series, but he's also drawn 4 walks in the 3 games. Actually 5 walks in the 3 games. So he's been on base with regularity. One ball and no strikes to Cabrera. This is the first time G has ever started against the Giants. He has 2 relief appearances to his credit, 2 of his 3 career relief appearances against San Francisco. There goes Blanco. Nikias quick out of the chute, but a high throw, and Blanco is safe. Nikias had a shot at him with a good throw, but he's selling.
Was this deja vu from the first game? I mean, the San Francisco Giants have come here to play in these first 2 games. They're pushing the envelope against the Mets catchers and pitchers.
They stole 2 bases in the first inning of game 1, Cabrera and Scherholtz. And now Blanco immediately with the stolen base puts himself in scoring position with nobody out. And Cabrera thinks about a bunt. Nickias knocks it down. Cutter from G, and it's 2-1. Dana DeMuth, who did not work the first game, has the plate in game 2. He's the crew chief. Danley, Eddings, and Estabrook, the rest of the crew. And that fastball missed. 3-1.
I know you mentioned the 800 hit club for the 27-year-old. I was also seeing, I don't know if you mentioned that, 15 home runs plus 20 more stolen bases and 40 more doubles. Cabrera, his teammate from last year, Francoeur, and of course Ellsbury.
Little tapper to short, runner advancing. Tejada throws out Cabrera for the first out. And Blanco over at third with one away. Justin Turner catching that throw at first base. This is a relatively new experience for Turner, and a little bit awkward in his receipt of that throw. So Pablo Sandoval comes up with a runner at third and one out. Sandoval 1 for 5 in the opening game of the doubleheader, and 4 for 14 in this series. Free swinging switch hitter, batting left-handed against G, and he takes the first pitch. That's a rarity. Called strike. First pitch fastball in the strike zone.
Nice pitch by G, though. He started it inside, kind of froze Sandoval.
Infield back for the Mets, willing to concede a first inning run to get the second out. And Sandoval attacks that fastball and fouls it back. So G in a spot where he could use a strikeout, gets ahead in the count 0-2.
I would say the thing the Mets haven't done well against Sandoval is that when they've got ahead of him, they have not thrown balls out of the strike zone. When they have got him out, and I know Keith talked about this the first game, throw it about helmet high. He'll go after it or bounce it in the dirt and trust your catcher.
For all these Giants, this is their first go-around against G. Now the infield comes in with 2 strikes. And Sandoval does not chase the high pitch as Mike Estabrook gives him the safe sign. 1-2. So the Mets had the infield back for the first 2 pitches, brought him in on 0-2, and Sandoval almost chased.
Boy, nice try there by Dillon. It's his first at bat against G, so even for Sandoval, maybe a little patience.
Here's the 1-2, and again Nickias wants it high, and it's fence high. Sandoval crushes one up into the Pepsi porch for a 2-run homer. A blast by Sandoval, his 3rd home run of the year, and the Giants take a 2-0 lead. What a shot. So the Giants, who scored 2 first-inning runs in game 1 of the doubleheader, have a deuce on the board early again.
Well, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. G tries to go back upstairs, catches about letters high, and Sandoval was ready. Boy, was he ready.
Well, when we do our next game in the Pepsi porch, we'll be ready for something like that.
I'll be ducking.
Nate Scherholtz was a double shy of the cycle in game 1 of the doubleheader. 3 for 5, including a 3-run homer. He lifts this one out to left center. Over in the gap, Neuenhuis and Bay sliding, can't get to it. Scherholtz around second, and he'll try for 3 and make it standing up. Scherholtz with his 2nd triple of the day, just beyond the reach of a sliding Jason Bay.
Well, I guess this is the extra base hit doubleheader for Scherholtz here. Bay can't get to it. Neuenhuis was not going to get to it. Kicks off his leg, and by that time Scherholtz, who has great speed, his 2nd triple, as Gary said, of the doubleheader.
So 4 batters against Dylan G, 3 hits, all well struck. The Giants with a 2-0 lead and looking for more with Hector Sanchez coming up. Sanchez, who had the game-winning hit in the Giants' victory on Friday night. The infield comes in. Mets already down 2-0 in the first inning. And the curveball from G is in for a strike. Well, this is unusual for Dillon, who is generally a fast starter in games. But the Giants have jumped him here in the first inning. Sanchez gets all tied up, and G ahead 0-2. Sanchez just 22 years old, switch hitter, like his buddy Sandoval, who just crushed a 2-run bomb. Change up away, 1-2.
Jerry, to go back to Sandoval really quickly, one of the toughest things you can do to a pitcher with your scouting report is make him go someplace where he never goes. He's concentrating on keeping his curve down, his changeup down. Going upstairs to the fastball is his worst pitch.
Out to center field and hit well. Back goes Neuenhuis. This will bring a run home. Neuenhuis has it for the second out, and Scherholtz can walk on in with the third run of the inning. Sacrifice fly for Hector Sanchez, and it's 3-0 Giants. They're getting awfully good swings in the first inning against Dillon G. So Sanchez is his 5th run batted into the year. And now Brett Pill will bat with 2 out and nobody on. Pill getting the start at first base. In fact, both first basemen in this game were teammates at Cal State Fullerton, Brett Pill and Justin Turner. Brett Pill's younger brother, Tyler Pill, is a pitcher in the Mets organization, drafted last year out of Cal State Fullerton. Right goes a long way to get it. A tough play and no chance, as Pill is safe with an infield hit. And that's the 4th into the inning.
Well, this is a play that you always tell the third baseman to go get that baseball, get what you can. But see, David's angle brought him almost into Tejada. If you go that deep, you really not going to have a play.
That's the thing. They tell you to get whatever you can, but it's usually when you're taking that straight angle towards second base, not retreating to your left.
Your angle's more 45 degrees if you're going to make the play.
So Pill is aboard with a 2-out infield hit, and now Emmanuel Burris, who was 1 for 4 in game 1 today. 4 for 12 in the series. And he takes a fastball for a strike, and Burris bordering on the spectacular play.
Lincecum should take him out to dinner as soon as he can, helping him get through that 5th inning.
Bases loaded, went up the middle on the Ike Davis bid for a base hit. Made the backhand play in the glove flip, and I thought Crawford's play was even better.
Maybe you're right. You're right. Caught that barehanded and was able to make the throw and put something on it.
And the throw that he caught barehanded initially hit him in the heel with the hand, and he was still able to somehow gather it and make the play.
Despite what infield coaches say, soft hands can't teach it. Either have it or you don't. Crawford certainly does.
Now the 1-1 is inside. By the way, lost in the majesty of the Pablo Sandoval 2-run homer. The fact that now gives Sandoval a 16-game hitting streak to start the season, which ties the San Francisco Giants record that was held by Willie Mays back in 1970. Line the other way. Bay coming on and picks it off for the out to end the inning. But some bullets against Dillon G in that first inning. And the Giants cash 3 for Madison Bumgarner. Pablo Sandoval with the big blow, and it was big. Well up into the Pepsi porch, his 3rd of the year. A 2-run shot. 3-0 San Francisco. Let's check out the Mets Geico starting lineup for game number 2. Daniel Murphy and David Wright stay put, but just about everybody else moving around. Ruben Tejada back up in the leadoff spot. Nieuwenhuis goes down to 7th against the left-hander. Mets with only 2 left-handed bats in the lineup, plugging as many right-handers as possible in against Madison Bumgarner.
Bumgarner is 22-20 in his 55 games started. Just signed a big contract. See the numbers for him so far this year. The only Achilles heel is you see the batting average against left-handed hitters, and he's also given up 3 home runs in those starts.
Limited at bats for those left-handers against him. Ruben Tejada will try and get the Mets response started after the Giants put up a 3 spot on the top of the inning. Ruben had another good game in game 1. 1 for 3, a walk, a stolen base, and he takes inside for ball 1. Ruben's 3 for 10 in the series, hitting at .269. And Bumgarner gets a strike over, 1-1. These first inning at bats for Tejada. He's done a great job seeing a lot of pitches, working counts. Here he puts the 3rd pitch in play, and Sandoval throws him out for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Murphy coming up.
There's a Coors Light Giants defense. Cabrera in left field. Blanco gets the start in center. Scherholz has been great in this doubleheader in right. Sandoval, Crawford, Burris, and Pill gets the start. First start at first base this season. And Hector Sanchez, who was a bit of a hero in game 1 with that big hit, is the catcher.
Here's Murphy, 2 for 4 in the first game today, 6 for 13 in the series. Swinging the bat probably better than anybody on the team right now, and he takes a strike. Murphy now at .333 for the year, with that on-base percentage up over .400. One of 2 left-handed bats in the lineup tonight against Bumgarner. Madison Bumgarner, just 22 years old. Drafted out of high school in Hudson, North Carolina, and reached the big leagues and made his first start for the Giants as a 20-year-old. He has 22 big league wins at the age of 22. Little tapper to the left side. Sandoval cuts in front of Crawford and throws out Murphy, 2 away.
I think sometimes you fall in the perfect body shape, and you know, boy, is he long and lean, and is he in good shape? But how about Sandoval? So athletic out there. Saw that big hit he had in the first inning. And looking at Bumgarner, a real slinger, Gary, and they say that it's hard to gauge him. His movement on his pitches is as late as anyone on that ball club.
Certainly has plenty of talent alongside him in the rotation, but not really anybody he can model himself after when you have Kane and Lincecum on your staff.
So think about the draft in 2006 and 2007. With the 10th pick in 2006, you get Lincecum. With the 10th pick in 07, you get Bumgarner. That's pretty good.
It's a pair of 10s that you can live with for a long time.
Everyone knows who the first 5 are going to be after that.
David Wright 0 for 4 in the opener today. Ball and a strike to David, who's just 1 for 11 in this series. Still hitting .400, but for the first time the Giants have cooled him down, whereas nobody was able to do that before. Of course, the Giants kept going pretty well in the first round the next 2 years after that. Rounded to short in 08. They got Buster Posey. In 09, they got Zach Wheeler. The Mets are happy with that. Crawford throws out right. 3 ground ball outs for Bumgarner and a 3-0 Giant lead after 1. for Dylan G. He gave up 4 hits, including a bomb of a home run to Pablo Sandoval. Now we'll take on the number 8 hitter Brandon Crawford, leading off in the second. Crawford 2 for 4, a double and an RBI in game 1. He had been 0 for his last 16 going into that game earlier today, but broke out of that with a bang as he takes a curveball for a strike from G. The pitcher Bumgarner on deck, and then Blanco for the Giants in the second. Crawford has been very impressive in this series with his defense.
And he didn't get any hits till the first game where he had a couple, but he had some good at bats. Neuenhuis robbed him. Jason Babe made a nice play in the first game going to left field.
Now G is ahead 1-2, and Crawford down on strikes. First strikeout for Dylan G. So 1 out and nobody out. Let's check out our AT&T trivia question. The Mets got their first win 50 years ago today, and if you're a Met fan with good knowledge, you'll know who the winning pitcher was.
Well, we got to spend some time with him in spring training this year. What a gentleman.
1 out and nobody on. Here's Bumgarner, 1 for 7 on the year, lifetime 140 hitter, left-hand pitcher but a right-hand batter. And you see he's wearing the sleeve on his pitching arm.
You might say 140, but he's a great athlete. He can hit.
Always worry about young pitchers exposing their pitching arm when they bat. Of course, he's got the little pad on there and the sleeve. I'm not sure at the end of the day, though, that that's enough.
We used to always kid David Cone, who hit left-handed, of course.
Pulled down to third. David Wright with the backhand play for the second out.
That early in his career, he could not hit anything. And we said, David, just go up right-handed. It doesn't really matter at this point. But he developed into a really solid hitter.
In fact, David Cone, and it took, I think, 30 or 31 years into the club's history, but David became the first Met pitcher ever to get a pinch hit. I remember it distinctly. It was in Montreal, and he would have not been your first choice.
It was a late swing, bleeder, jam shot between third and short. I remember it forever.
I'm sure he's reminded you a few times.
Yes.
Too.
No, he tried to tell me it was a line drive.
There's Blanco bluffing a bunt and taking a strike. Gregor Blanco singled to center, stole a base, scored a run in the first. He could pitch a little bit too.
Oh boy.
Sometimes I thought watching David Cone pitch that he was making it up as he went along.
He just, you know, to me, he was the modern day, for me, Louis Tiant, in the way he made up pitches out there and arm angles.
Chopped down to third. Tough play by Wright as he retreats. And he throws out the speedy Blanco to end the inning. So a nice bounce back for Dylan G as he gets the side 1-2-3. 3-0 Giants in the second. Mets will come to bat against Madison Bumgarner in the bottom of the second with Jason Bay to lead off. Let's check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
Well, as we look at Madison Bumgarner, one of the real young stud lefties for the Giants, Scary, the question, of course, fans want to know, how are the Mets young studs doing in the minor leagues? Of course, they're talking about Matt Harvey and Jeurys Familia, and both guys struggling a little bit early on. The big thing is honestly getting behind in the count, which we saw a little bit from each of them, especially Harvey in spring training, despite all their tremendous gifts. For Familia, his best outing actually was yesterday. 5 innings, he allowed just 1 run. At one point, retired 9 straight batters, and then tried to come inside with a fastball to Bryce Harper, who greeted him with his first AAA home run. Other than that, Familia was real good. Struck out 8 yesterday, but again, control has been an issue. He's 2-1 with a 5.3 ERA. Getting the strikeouts, things like that, but falling behind. Each guy has been on about 100 pitch count, but they haven't gotten past the 5th inning. Harvey got past the 6th his last start, but that's been it. So just kind of trying to be efficient as these guys learn how to pitch, Ronnie.
You know, Kevin, I watched him pitch 3 times in spring training this year, and the last time watched him pitch 8 innings. And he's got all the tools. Throws is harder than I thought that he threw. It's easily 93, 94, 95. His slider is outstanding. When he throws it correctly, it's almost unhittable as Jason Bay goes down. But he's not consistent with it yet. And then his change of pace, his change up right now is something that he's having a hard time finding a strike zone. But I will say, if he gets that slider where he can get consistent with it, you know, the Mets have never really, you know, Heath Bell, you could maybe make an argument after he left. But, you know, someday they're going to have to, you know, have a closer come out of their system. And I don't know, with 2 pitches, he would have 2 outstanding pitches to get people out.
Well, it's certainly a debate within the organization as to whether Familia profiles better as a starter or as a reliever, but unless he develops a 3rd pitch, you'd have to think that the bullpen is probably the better bet.
And the only reason I say that is that it's very difficult, unless you have such outstanding stuff, to have everything real hard coming, you know, the velocity on everything really hard coming to the plate with his great fastball, with his great slider. Well, Zach Wheeler has the best numbers there because of the walks alone. You like to have your young pitchers have control.
Hairston tomahawks 1 foul.
They have control from an early age. You're like, okay, we can wipe that away. That's going to be fine. But usually your young pitchers struggle with control. So the numbers of Harvey and Familia are more in line with what you're going to see early in a AAA season until they kind of figure it out.
Of course, Wheeler down in AA is done a little bit better dominating there. He's a little younger than the other 2 guys, less experience. As Bumgarner puts together back-to-back strikeouts to start the second as he gets Bay and now Hairston.
You know, Ronnie, I'm curious too on the jump from AA to AAA. I was talking to Ben Wagner, who broadcasts the Bison's games for the Mets, and you know, he said again about that control. Like for instance, Harvey had 1 start earlier this year. He was 3 1/3 innings in the high 80s in pitch count, and he said he was talking to pitching coach Mark Brewer down there, and you know, a lot of times he was saying in AA, even if you do that, your stuff kind of gets you through. Guys will kind of help you out, but when you get to AAA, that changes a little bit.
Yeah, you know, Kevin, you make a good point. What you have to do once you go from AA to AAA is you have to be able to throw your breaking pitches for strikes, because those guys have had some time in the big leagues. They're older. They're the kind of guys that will take at bats and not going to swing at those pitches that are in the dirt. They're going to really work the pitcher. That's the first time you're going to go through what major league offenses are going to give to you, and that is wait you out, make sure you can throw strikes, and if you prove that, then they're going to have to be aggressive, and then you can go pitching out of the strike zone. It's a big leap.
Right through the wickets on Bumgarner. Over comes Crawford to bail him out and throws out Turner to end the inning. So 6 up and 6 down for Bumgarner. We go to the 3rd in game 2 of our doubleheader. San Francisco up 3-0. Third inning, Melky Cabrera leads off against Dylan G. Cabrera grounded out to short his first time up, and he takes a letter high strike from G. Giants got 3 runs in the first inning. Pablo Sandoval, who hit a 2-run homer for 2 of those 3 runs, is waiting on deck. And Cabrera takes one the other way for a base hit. So Melky continues to get on base as he has throughout this series. A leadoff single here in the third. Let's answer our AT&T trivia question. We asked who won the first ever Mets victory 50 years ago today. Of course, that was Jay Hook, who went the distance against the Pirates.
First Mets victory, and a guy that probably arguably easily led a better life away from baseball. Amazing executive for the Michigan.
Here's Sandoval, who parked one up in the Pepsi porch for his 3rd home run of the year, his first time up. And a first pitch curveball from G this time. 1-0 to Sandoval. Ronnie, when you get a guy who is this kind of free swinger, is there one particular way to go after him?
No, not really, because you can't set him up. There's no setting up of a guy who wants to just swing. You know, most hitters, you want to have an at bat where you get them to a point where they've got to think of one part of the plate and you go to another part of the plate. You threw 2 high fastballs to him. He doesn't even really know that you're trying to get him out with a high fastball. He's just seeing it and hitting it. So you can't set him up. What you can do, though, is get ahead of him and expand the strike zone. That's the best thing to do.
Or are you better off not throwing him strikes at all?
I think you can throw him a strike early on and just keep it down and away. If he's swinging early, that means he wants to do some damage early, and you can get him to roll over, let him get himself out. But after that, just bounce some pitches up there. He wants to swing.
And he does, and he grounds one to Murphy. Murphy does the spin around and gets the force, and that's all. So the 4-6 force on Cabrera for the first out.
Well, Murph had to spin around there. There was nothing he could do, really. I thought that he might just take the one at first base. He had to charge it to make sure that he kind of got that ball early, but spun around and made the play.
So now Sandoval at first with 1 out. Here's Nate Schierholtz, who hit a triple to the wall in left center his first time up. His 2nd triple of the day. Also has a home run. And he rips this one through the hole for a base hit. Another first pitch curveball by G, and Schierholtz looked like he was waiting for it, and the Giants have 2 men on. So Schierholtz now has 5 hits in the doubleheader.
Well, I think the one thing that the Giants have showed me is that the last start, their scout watched. You and I did the game, Gary. He threw a lot of strikes, and I think they've come out here saying, you know what? This young guy likes to throw a lot of strikes. Likes to throw a lot of strikes early in the game. Be ready, and they have been.
So 2 on and 1 out. Now Hector Sanchez, who hit a sacrifice fly his first time up. And another first pitch curveball. This time G bounces it. Nikias knocks it down.
And other than one to Schierholtz, that has been really the way it's gone with the curveball so far. Threw more strikes with it in Atlanta.
See G blowing on his hand. Temperature right around 50 degrees as we play in the 2nd game. Should be in the 40s by the end of the game. Certainly cooler than it was in that last start in Atlanta. Does that have an effect on controlling the curveball?
I don't think so. It only does, Gary, if the weather is extremely cold. It's very comfortable out there when you have a full sweat working. The ability to lick your fingers now on the mound without stepping off onto the grass has changed a lot for pitchers today.
Get a little better grip that way as Sanchez fouls one off his foot, and that hurt.
No, there used to be a day for you folks. You older folks definitely know, but you younger folks, cutter inside, hits it right off his chin. You have to go off the mound, go to your mouth, wipe it off, then go to the hill. And by that time, maybe 8-9 seconds might have passed, and you still get that slickness on the baseball.
Now you can, as long as you're not on the rubber, you can be on the dirt, lick your fingers, wipe it on your uniform, and then you can used those fingers to grip the ball.
On really cold days, this doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but you're sweating so much, so you're warm. On really cold days, I would use my left arm would be completely soaked with water. And that way you could go and get some perspiration. And no, it wasn't cheating. You can't cheat that way. No spitballs.
2-2 to Sanchez. If it was cheating, this is baseball. If you get away with it. What's the old saying? If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Hey, there were some games I'm sure Davey was hoping I was cheating. Would start cheating.
Now it's 2-2 to Hector Sanchez. And he grounds a double play ball right at Murphy. Tejada with the turn for the 4-6-3 double play. And that gets G through the top of the third and keeps it 3-0 San Francisco. Well, it's going to be a little different experience here at Citi Field tomorrow to see Jose Reyes sporting a Miami Marlins uniform as the Marlins come to town for the first time. Whereas for David Wright, who played next to Reyes for 8 seasons, it might be stranger than for most.
I'm looking forward to it, and I think that's going to be a little odd seeing him in a different uniform. And I think that's going to be a little strange, but all in all, I'm excited. He's one of the best players in this game, and to go out there and kind of see what it's all about, seeing him from a different dugout. Obviously you'd like to be on the same side as him, but I'm eager to see, what it's going to be like playing against a talent like that.
Hey, you think he's going to test you, maybe drop down a bunt just to kind of see if you're awake over there?
Not if he knows better, unless he wants to offer, but I think he's smarter than that, because the last thing I'm going to let him do is get a hit over that way.
I think David might be choking a little bit on the grass there against Jose his first time up. Broken bat by Nieuwenhuis, and he dumps one into right center for a base hit. So Kirk Nieuwenhuis has the Mets' first hit against Madison Bumgarner, his 3rd hit of the doubleheader. Well, you can imagine that it's going to be fairly emotional for all involved tomorrow to have Reyes back here, and the crowd will have their emotions. The Mets, who are his former teammates, will have their emotions.
Well, I was just thinking the two things for me were David responding to the bunt. It's the last time I saw Jose play. It was a bunt to the third baseman to get him that batting championship. And secondly, I don't think I've ever seen Jose without his dreads. So it's going to be interesting to see him with the short hair.
Well, he had short hair when he first came up, but you weren't with us then. But
I know it's orange, but I mean, under the cap at least, I will.
Guys, in the rest of that scrum there with all of the reporters, David was asked if he still talks to Jose a lot. And he said, in the offseason, I did quite a bit. And, now I text a little bit. He said, but during the season, honestly, if I don't play with you, it's a little hard. But, he reiterated that they're close friends. But he did say that when Reyes was just about to sign with the Marlins, and Wright said, look, I had followed it. I knew the signs were kind of pointing towards that. But Reyes made it a point to call Wright and just tell him how much of a pleasure it had been to play next to him, how much he enjoyed everything about their relationship and playing next to the quality player Wright. And Wright said, that was first class. It really meant a lot to me.
Mike Nikias drives one to right, but Sherholtz barely has to move.
There's only 2 trades while I was a player and as a Met that I can even think about in that way. And I think Lenny Dykstra going. I remember the first time we all saw him in Philadelphia. Almost the entire team went to center field during their batting practice to say hello to him. And I thought that was strange, but we still did it because of how we felt about Lenny. And then, of course, when Straw signed with Los Angeles and came to Shea Stadium for the first time, that was it was very awkward. I found it very awkward. I don't know how the other players felt.
There's been a lot of discussion this week about how the Mets should treat and whether they should honor Reyes with a video tribute and all that. As G gets down the sacrifice 3-4, moving Neuenhuis over to second. But the difference, and you brought up Strawberry, and I hadn't thought about it in these terms, but there's such a difference between the way Jose left and the way Darryl left. Darryl left, there was tons of animosity on both sides. And, Darryl, I think, regrets to this day that he decided to leave and go to L.A. In Reyes' case, it's not like he had much of a choice. And I think that he was sent off with good wishes on both sides.
I agree. That's maybe why it was so awkward with Straw coming back, because there were so many volleys thrown back and forth from New York to L.A. and L.A. back to New York. And, certainly Straw was, even said some things that I know he regret about. He's going to go home and have to deal with New York and all that kind of stuff. And, those are things that we all say when we're silly and young, but we'd love to take back sometime, but can't. That's how it goes.
You like Mike Hampton saying he went to Denver because of the schools?
They got schools everywhere. That's what I've heard anyway.
That's some pretty good ones in New York the last time I checked.
Exactly.
Ruben Tejada grounded out his first time up. But, at the end of the day, and specifically at the end of tomorrow, Reyes will just be another visiting player. And that's the way these things go. You say your hellos, you pay your tributes, but once the game starts, you're another visiting player.
What's strange, Gary? Within a clubhouse, you have people that you like, and then you have people that you put up with. And so those things can sometimes carry over in a strange way. But I will say this, the hardest part, and it's different from the Strawberry thing, is Strawberry went to the West Coast. He played in a different division. We're talking about a shortstop, one of their major players playing against this team 18, 19 times a year. That is going to be the big difference on what kind of difference maker he can be.
Well, we asked you during the first game today to tweet your ideas about the Mets making a scoreboard presentation. We'll ask you the same question now. Send us your response at SNYTV with the hashtag SNYMets and say what you think.
And how are the Mets pitchers going to deal with Jose? 18, 19 times a year. Stealing bases, bunting, getting hits, not getting hits.
And Tejada goes around on a pitch at his back foot, punched out by the first base umpire Kerwin Danley. Third strikeout for Bumgarner. 3-0 Giants after 3. tonight's Mets-Marlins series opener and the return of Jose Reyes with exclusive interviews, insider info, and debate on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5 p.m. only on SNY. Brett Pill leads off the fourth inning against Dylan G and takes a first pitch curve for a strike. Pill had an infield single his first time up. One of 6 hits for the Giants against G in the first 3 innings. And Pill hits this one up the middle for a base hit. So that's 7 Giants hits. Pill is 2 for 2.
The 2 former teammates there first. It's all about execution, Gary. First pitch curveball for a strike, and then you want that one down and away. Ball drifted back over. Now, it's not that easy. It's difficult. But that's when plaguing Dylan tonight.
Turner and Pill discussing old Titan times. Here's Emmanuel Burris, who lined to left his first time.
I'd have fun in Fullerton on a Saturday.
It hasn't been a lot of fun for Dylan G yet tonight. Brandon Crawford on deck. It's got only 3 2/3 innings out of their starter in game 1, Miguel Batista. And that one's through the hole, a base hit for Burris. So the Giants have the first 2 men on in the fourth, and the hits just keep on coming.
You know, this is going to be something that, you know, the pitchers are going to have to deal with all season long. Because you've bunched the middle infielders close to the bag, you're going to have ground balls. When you see them from the eye, look like they're going to be an out, or going to be easy base hits to right field.
So now Brandon Crawford has struck out his first time up. A little bit of rain falling. I think it's rained harder often than it did last night. Another first pitch curve for a strike from G. Not supposed to get much rain this evening, so I think we're going to be okay.
We have these moonlights out to the roof, and it was so loud we had our television on a volume that it's never been on. That's how loud the rain was.
Crawford gets jammed and pops one up in foul ground for Turner to handle, and that's the first out of the inning. So 1 away. Runners hold at first and second, and now the pitcher Bumgarner will come up, and the Mets will be looking for the bunt. You know, we mentioned that the Mets and Giants have played 36 doubleheaders of some sort or other, either straight doubleheaders or split doubleheaders, but none will ever be more memorable than the one they played at Shea Stadium, first year of Shea in 1964. First game was nothing to speak of. The second game, the Mets and Giants played 23 innings for over 7 hours. Doubleheader started at 1 o'clock. It lasted till about 11.
Oh, gee.
And a lot of things happened in that second game. How about this? Gaylord Perry, who was just a young pitcher at the time in 1964, came out of the bullpen and threw 10 innings of scoreless relief. Willie Mays played 3 innings in that game at shortstop for the Giants. The Mets turned a triple play in the 14th inning of that game.
Wow.
Hit into by Orlando Cepeda. Well, the Mets seem to have figured out what kind of bunt defense they want to play. See how they execute it here. First and second and 1 out. Bumgarner grounded out to third his first time up. Tejada shaded way over toward third, as though the Mets are planning to run the wheel play.
Well, the Mets, you know, baseball, you don't have timeouts, but you know, almost could have took one there. Took a long time to figure that out. You don't have a lot of speed at second base. Dylan G's a very good fielder. Looks like they're going to have the wheel on. I wouldn't mess around with Bumgarner because he'll swing the bat.
That's fake the wheel, and he does swing the bat, and that's part of the purpose. Something Bobby Valentine used to do all the time as Mets manager. He'd deke teams into taking swings and get double plays out of that.
That's a good play if the pitcher can't swing the bat, and Bumgarner can. That being said, if you're the pitcher Bumgarner and you only have a 3-0 lead, you want to find a way to get the ball down. What I'm thinking, if I'm Bumgarner, Turner, you got to know he hasn't been there a lot. Just get the ball down to him. Let him deal with it.
This time the Mets run the wheel. They play hit and run, and it has the effect of a sacrifice as G fields the comebacker. So the Mets ran the wheel. The Giants responded by playing hit and run. And Bumgarner's net result is he gets the runners to second and third.
Well, watch the shortstop here. All right, he's the one that's going to dictate where he's going to go. You can see Pill reads it. The shortstop is going. He takes advantage of that. Bumgarner was just a little bit away getting that ball up the middle, although Murph would have been covering.
The interesting thing about that was, though, that Tejada broke to third. Wright never charged. So I don't know whether he read that Bumgarner was swinging and that's why he didn't charge, or whether the Mets were confused as to which play they were running.
I think David read that Bumgarner was swinging the bat. That's why he stayed his ground.
So now second and third and 2 out, and Gregor Blanco takes low and inside for ball 1.
And I think Tejada's going to have to read his ground too, because if he sees he's going to swing the bat, he's going to just stop. Don't even follow the runner. It doesn't matter. I don't say this very often, but the opposing manager, Bruce Bochy's, had a nice series. He's done a lot of aggressive things.
Blanco drives one out to left. Long run back for Bay, and he can't make the play. Had it in his glove, and it clicks on out. 2 runs come in to score. Blanco winds up at second. 5-0 San Francisco. Well, Blanco hit it well the other way, and it looked like Bay had tracked it down, but he couldn't seal the deal. It's a double for Blanco, 2 RBIs.
Well, a little simple play of starting the runners when your pitcher's up a bat gets you in this situation, and you see Jason drifting on that ball, and it just carried, I think, more than he thought it was going to, and a valiant try there at the end with that ball popping out of his glove, like you said, and coming up with a distinct limp, Jason Bay.
So 2 runs are in, and the Giants again, as they did in the first game, have built a 5-run lead. Here's Melky Cabrera, who's 1 for 2. And he takes a fastball letter high for a strike. Cabrera's grounded to short and single to left. Now 3 for 10 in the series. So Blanco getting the starting game 2 and producing in that leadoff spot, subbing for Angel Pagan.
Well, you're always playing shallow against a guy named like Blanco, the leadoff hitter, and the ball just kept carrying and carried to the end of his glove, and face just planted right into the sod there for Jason Bay.
Cabrera lifts one to center, and Neuenhuis has this one measured. And that retires the side, but not before Blanco's 2-out 2-run double plates 2 more. That gives the Giants a 5-0 lead. Jason Bay hit the ground hard after failing to make the catch on Gregor Blanco's double.
Well, you don't like to see that, stretching out that right shoulder. You can see as soon as the ball goes over, kind of lands right on his face, his chest, and his two shoulders there. I don't know, it almost reminds you remember Hanley Ramirez when he dove for a ball behind short, landed very similarly and hurt his shoulder.
Well, Bay is due up third in the inning, and he was around the bat rack last we checked, so we'll see whether he stays in. Daniel Murphy leads off, grounded out to third base his first time up. Bay has had a number of extraordinarily difficult plays to make over the first couple of weeks of the season, and he's made a couple, including the one he went over the fence in Atlanta to take a home run away from Jack Wilson, but he's also had a few that he's been unable to complete.
Yeah, the first batter against Santana in Atlanta was one of those plays. And they've been both sides. Going in the gap between he and Neuenhuis today was a tough ball.
It was the triple by Scherholz.
And then this one now heading towards the line from Blanco. And again, playing shallow, having to cover 30 yards or so, and not able to come up with it.
He's obviously in some discomfort as he prepares for his at-bat in this inning. 1-2 from Bumgarner, and the breaking ball low and away.
I think all outfielders, infielders always feel the same way, Gary. If it hits your glove, it's in your glove, you should make the play. But, it's as difficult as it gets.
I would say difficult is a pretty good adjective to use to describe Jason Bay's tenure in New York.
Yeah, right.
Power outage to concussion.
Starting the season on the DL.
3-2 to Murphy, and he fights it off. Well, so far, the 22-year-old left-hander Bumgarner has been exactly as advertised. Mets are not getting many good swings against him. Their only hit was a broken bat flare by Neuenhuis in the third. That just missed, ball 4. First walk given up by Bumgarner, and the Mets have the leadoff man onto the fourth. Check out this number. Bumgarner, when the Giants score 3 runs or more for him in his career, 19-2.
Good front runner, huh?
Well, if you pitch for the Giants and they get you 3 runs, you consider yourself fortunate. Now, they've had a very good offensive series here, but last year they were dead last in the league in runs scored, and yet they still won 86 games. And we're in first place as late as the second week in August. Here's David Wright looking for his first hit of the day. Grounded out to short his first time up in this game. Now 1 for 12 in the series. And Bay is out on deck and ready to go. Mets fell behind early in game 1 and had ample chances to fight their way back against Lincecum and the Giants bullpen, but they left 12 runners on base in that first game.
They also had chances against Motor, like you said, their bullpen outfit.
Lincecum wound up with his first victory of the year, went 5 difficult innings. And Wright breaks his back. Crawford slides over, gets the force. No chance to turn 2 against Wright. So the 6-4 force erases Murphy for the first out of the inning.
It's hard to believe this Giants defense has made this many errors early in the season. It's just got to be an anomaly because they have made some fantastic plays. If I tell you how hard that play is right there for the shortstop, you almost have to stay down about a foot off the ground because you're going to have to throw from there.
Crawford's been very impressive. So is Burris. I think part of the reason why they've made as many errors as they have is that they played Aubrey Huff most of the time at first base, and he's not going to help anybody out. Fastball strike to Bay, who struck out his first time up. It looks, certainly from what we've seen today, as though Bruce Bochy may be transitioning away from Aubrey Huff. He did not start him in either game of the doubleheader. Line shot up the middle, and I guess Bay's shoulder's feeling okay. So the Mets have their second hit of the game and their first hard hit ball against Bumgarner.
It's amazing when you don't feel 100%. You got a little shaken up from that play. You try not to do too much. Just see it and put a decent swing on it, and just to blow it up the middle.
So the Mets have 2 aboard, and Scott Hairston coming up. Hairston, the only Met who had faced Bumgarner before today, had 3 at-bats against him while he was with the Padres. Struck out his first time up in this game. Looking for his first hit in this series. He's been 0 for 5. Well, the Giants live with their starting pitching. Kane signed to a long-term contract. Big money for a guy who has a losing record in his career, but that's misleading.
They've been watching him. He's pitched much better than that record.
Well, he was the hardest luck pitcher in baseball for many years until last season when Lincecum got less run support than anybody in baseball. 1-1 to Hairston. Of course, Vogelsong was a great Cinderella story last year and certainly looked sharp in his game here on Saturday.
No one won over 14 games, I believe, last year for that team.
And Zito's looked like he's staging a resurgence.
Well, at least can be a solid 5th starter for them.
1-2 now to Hairston. There's Barry, who really retooled his delivery during the offseason.
He retooled it, but I think that more importantly, he's gotten to the point, Gary, where he's throwing his fastball around the zone. He's not really pitching with it anymore. He's become more of a breaking ball pitcher, which is all right too, whatever it takes.
1-2 from Bumgarner, and he ties up Hairston, who somehow got a piece of it. Bumgarner's already struck out 3, he's walked 1, allowed no runs and 2 hits, and working with an embarrassment of riches with a 5-0 lead. And like Kane, Bumgarner just got himself a contract extension, 5-year deal with a couple of option years that would take him through 2019. So the Giants not only are fortified for the moment, but with Kane and Bumgarner signed for the long term, they've got some certainty as far as their pitching staff going forward into the out years. 2-2 to Hairston, and a high fly ball hit to left. Cabrera waiting for it to come down through the raindrops, and staggers but makes the play for the second out. So 2 out and 2 on. Of course, Kane and Bumgarner are in different territory because Kane has more years under his belt, so he gets the big money, whereas Bumgarner basically gets his arbitration and one of his free agent years bought out.
Well, the whole thing for those young players is you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you get a chance to make some great coin right now.
It's trading a few dollars for some security.
That'll buy some lumber in Hickory, North Carolina, won't it?
Buy some lumber anywhere. So now Justin Turner with 2 out and 2 on. Turner grounded out to short his first time up, and he has to move his feet. Bumgarner's got that back foot slider. It's not quite Steve Carlton, but it's a nice pitch.
Yeah, it's late. I mean, breaks late.
A lot of people looking at Bumgarner have compared him to Chuck Finley in terms of his body style and his release.
Yeah, Chuck Finley was about a 6'6" guy.
Little looper into center field. That'll fall for a hit. Right around third, and comes on in with the Mets' first run. Justin Turner cashes one, and the Mets are on the board. It's now 5-1 San Francisco.
Well, ever since Turner has worn the Met uniform, he just drives in runs, drives them in with 2 outs, great with runners in scoring position, because he has the ability to put the ball in play. Good breaking ball hitter, doesn't try to do too much, goes right back up the middle. David, of course, scoring easily. I was saying Chuck Finley, they have the same body type, different kind of pitcher. Finley was straight over the top with a split finger. He looks a lot like Bob Knepper to me from the Astros, and the way he slings the ball up there, just a little bigger and, sorry Bob, a little better stuff. Bob Knepper could pitch, and he could get people out, and we know what he did to that Met team in that 6th game.
8 scoreless.
Yep. But
ninth was a problem.
It's a 22-year-old man who can throw 92. The ninth was a problem.
A little better center fielder. He might have been home free, and he might have been facing Mike Scott in Game 7.
Boy, that right.
Sorry, Billy.
That right center field, exactly. Well, Billy would atone when he went to the Reds. He did pretty well in that World Series in '90, didn't he?
Talking about Billy Hatcher, who actually, kept that game alive.
That's right.
Later on in the 14th inning with a home run.
I always love the stories I hear about that game that people tell about being in the city that night and being in front of the Crazy Eddies and places like that with televisions and not leaving. They just could not leave the city because they wanted to see the end result.
It was a 3 o'clock start, I think, so it went till almost 8. Neuenhuis badly fooled on the slider, and it's 2-2.
Well, Neuenhuis had a hit in his last at bat. This one a little better slider, a little better tilt. See, he's out front there, brings him to one knee.
Neuenhuis had the first Met hit, a broken bat single in the 3rd. Batting here with 2 out and 2 on, a 2-2 count. And Bumgarner misses outside with the fastball. Neuenhuis does well to lay off. So that'll get an automatic start now for Bay at second and Turner at first with 3-2 and 2 out. Neuenhuis already 3 for 5 in this doubleheader. Just keeps on hitting. 3-2 from Bumgarner, and it's lifted foul. Neuenhuis up to 356 on the year, and it coincides with Andres Torres playing his first game on rehab today down in St. Lucie. He went 3 for 4. Now, how long Andres is going to need in his rehab stint, coming back from that calf injury that he's now suffered twice, remains to be seen. And it also remains to be seen what happens when he's ready to come back. 3-2, and Neuenhuis pops one up in the left center field. On comes Cabrera to call, and the side retired. So the Mets get 1 run on Turner's 2-out RBI single after 4, 5-1 Giants. Been in the back of a pedicab?
I have recently with my 2-year-old nephew, and I took him to the Central Park Zoo.
Now that sounds cool.
$20 for half a mile.
So gonna walk.
That wasn't as cool. You ever walked with a 2-year-old?
I've carried a 2-year-old.
Yeah, well,
and I've walked with a 2-year-old. I've walked with 2 2-year-olds.
He doesn't like to be carried. He likes to walk. It would have taken. It was like noon. We wouldn't have been to the zoo till about 2:30.
Sandoval into rope into left field for a base hit. So Dylan G's 5th inning begins the way his 4th inning started with a leadoff hit. Nate Sherholtz coming up. We check in with Kevin.
Ever wonder, guys, what a major leaguer does to get ready for a game? I mean, everybody's a little bit different, but I asked Daniel Murphy about his routine, and admittedly his is a little bit toned down than what it was when he first got up here. He's learned to kind of get it to the point that's comfortable and not overdo it. He gets to the park about 2 o'clock, and he sits down to a nice friendly card game just about every day with Pelfrey and Neese and Wright. That's their little clan. And then he said it's all about getting loose. He goes in the hot tub for about 10 minutes, does a band stretch for about 10 more minutes, and then just goes to the cage, takes about 25 swings, not too hard, just to try to get the whole body moving, that type of thing. Then he's got about 40 minutes of downtime before batting practice. That's likely when I interviewed him about this story. Goes through the batting practice, the fielding, and all that. And I asked him, what do you do for food? I mean, you're doing this workout all day long. How about food? When do you eat? What do you eat? He said, well, after BP is when guys will get something down. And on the road, it's tricky because BP doesn't end till like 6:30. He said, my food of choice is peanut butter and honey. Now, David Wright kind of started this peanut butter and honey trend, and everyone pretty much on that bandwagon. Ike Davis a little different. He's got peanut butter, banana, and honey. But Daniel says that and Gatorade, it's the right amount of protein and energy. Doesn't really weigh you down. It gives you the kind of the electrolytes to get going. Then, of course, he plays the game. And then after the game, the weights are the interesting thing to me. What they'll do is they'll do a one or actually 2 body parts for 20 minutes, and that's it. And I asked, a couple players why that is. Really, and Ronnie, you can attest to this, the weightlifting now, the heavy lifting, that's in the off season. Once the season starts, 20 minutes after the game, it's just really to maintain yourself. You don't want to wear yourself out. That's pretty much the routine of at least Daniel Murphy.
There was a time when players would do weight training during the season, late morning, early afternoon. Now it seems like everybody does it after the game.
Yeah, I know that when I was with the Oakland A's club, and they had all those monsters over there, they would lift in the morning at 11 o'clock, go back and have lunch and chill and do whatever they did. Those guys used to goes down swinging Sherholtz. And then after the game, they would do heavy lifting also. They would come out of that training room, and you'd feel bad about yourself because I was in the middle of a beer and dinner. You know what I mean? And these guys would come out from an hour workout. So
perhaps they were consuming other things than beer and dinner.
Perhaps they were. Perhaps they were.
I find it interesting that everybody in the clubhouse now is eating peanut butter. I guess there are no peanut allergies.
That's right.
Here's Hector Sanchez, and the curveball fouled off.
There's a press box or a TV booth in Fenway Park where you cannot eat peanuts in one of the TV booths because one of the guys that works there, a stage manager, or maybe I think he's an audio guy, has such a strict peanut allergy that you can't have it anywhere around him.
I used to bring a jar of peanut butter with a knife and eat it on the plane rides. If you guys, I could get back to that if you like.
We are familiar with that habit of yours. It was okay. Now I know you get packaged peanut butter.
Well, I'd have one of those peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on the plane if Webby didn't have a half dozen. It'd never make it to me.
You have to be on the aisle.
Yes, you do.
G had 0-2 on Sanchez with Brett Pill on deck. Fastball too high. It's been a slog for Dylan G right from the beginning of the game. Gregor Blanco led off with a base hit. The Giants scored 3 in the first. G has given up 10 hits over 4 1/3.
It's interesting that Dylan's using that cutter, and it's very effective, has a lot of movement on it, but he's not throwing it in the strike zone. If you throw it in the strike zone, you keep your pitch count down because they'll put it in play. It's almost too good. You know what I'm saying? It's off the plate.
Popped up into shallow right. On comes Hairston to get under it. And he puts it away for the second out. It's interesting that you mentioned that, Ronnie, because sometimes it seems as though pitchers get caught in between a pitch that's a slider and a pitch that's a cutter. Yeah. And a cutter is a pitch that's more designed to stay on the plate, where the slider is going to break out of the strike zone. And I'm not sure Dylan isn't throwing 2 different pitches there.
I think he is. He showed us right there. The first one that was taken was a pitch inside that was more like a slider, and the second one was just a cutter about waist high. That's the pitch you want to throw. Just want to tie up the hitter, let him put it in play. The worst you're going to do with a good cutter on the plate because it's working in on the bat, you could give up a broken bat hit, absolutely. But he's going to put it in play. Okay, next, instead of the 3, 4, 5, 6 pitches to each batter.
Hill is already 2 for 2, an infield single, and then he banged one to center his last time up. And he yanks this one foul down past Tim Flannery.
So Gary, I guess what happens for all pitchers with that pitch, and number 42 over there in the pinstripes has done it better than anyone else. It's a field pitch, so you have to have it come out of your hand the same, just about the same every single time, and it's got to be kind of with a stiff wrist when you throw that cutter. If you turn your wrist at all, then it becomes a slider, and that's the problem.
Swing and a miss. Good curveball by G to strike out Hill and end the inning. Third strikeout for G, 2 in that inning. Halfway through, it's 5-1 Giants. Is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Get a complete recap of today's doubleheader with insider info and opinion, plus up-to-the-minute Mets news as they gear up for tomorrow's series opener against Jose Reyes and the Marlins. On Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Mike Nikias leads off in the home 5th inning. Lined out to right his first time up. And Mike fouls one off. Mike had his first hit in this of the season earlier in this series. He's now 1 for 11 to start the year. Dylan G has come out on deck. He's going to stay in despite being 4 runs down. Nobody up in the Mets bullpen, nor has there been anybody up, despite 10 hits allowed in 5 innings by Dylan. His pitch count is relatively low. The Mets used a lot of bullpen in the first game, although 3 of those innings were from Jeremy Hefner, who was brought up just to be the extra pitcher for that first game.
I was pretty impressed with his curveball, Hefner's curveball. He did a nice job.
Grounded foul. Here's your Delta 5th inning recap. Giants jumping on G in the first inning. Sandoval hitting a titanic 2-run homer. And Justin Turner driving in the only Met run against Madison Bumgarner, who's been in command. Two and two now to Nikias. Mets finally got something working against Bumgarner in the fourth. The leadoff walk and a couple of hits, forcing him to throw 27 pitches in that fourth inning. And now Nickias works a full count to start the fifth.
It's been a full count doubleheader for the starters for the Giants, hasn't it?
Well, Met hitters have worked deep counts. They just haven't been able to translate that into a lot of offense. Held to 1 run in the first game and 1 in the second. Nickias lifts one out to right center. And drifting on it is Blanco for the first out. So 1 out and nobody on. Tomorrow, Mets and Marlins first at 3 from Citi Field. First time the Mets will play the Marlins as the Miami, not Florida Marlins. And the first time they'll have Jose Reyes in the building as an opponent. The Area City probables for tomorrow. Johan Santana getting the extra day of rest. He'll be pitching on a week's rest as he takes on Josh Johnson. Santana trying to bounce back from his worst start of the year. Johnson coming off his first good start of the year. The two erstwhile aces trying to work their way back from injury.
Well, they both had an amazing game against each other in, I don't know what the name of the stadium was then, Dolphin Stadium, let's say. Had a 2-hour and 4-minute game.
Recall it very well, and so does Daniel Murphy.
Yes, he does.
Phil grabs the pop-up by G for the second out. That was the day that Daniel Murphy, for all intents and purposes, became exclusively an infielder.
Well, that was the game. You know, Santana in those days was always great. But that was the day that I said, boy, this Josh Johnson, he can be unhittable at times. But he just hasn't been able to stay healthy for 35 times a year.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Ruben Tejada is grounded to third and struck out 0 for 2. And Ruben takes a strike. Grounded foul. It's 0-2. It's a nice pattern. Daniel Murphy would be next. Bumgarner ahead on Tejada 1-2. That's wide. 2-2. And Tejada works another full count. And so the trend continues. Couple of 22-year-olds going head-to-head, Bumgarner and Tejada. And he struck him out. Second time Tejada's been fanned. That's 4 tonight for Bumgarner. Through 5, Giants trying for the sweep, up 5-1. There's a trip through Columbus Circle. Inning, Dylan G still out there chucking, and Emmanuel Burris swings and misses at a first pitch changeup. Burris singled to right and scored a run in the 4th inning, 1 for 2 in this game, and 5 for 14 in the series. Lower third of the order, Burris, Crawford, and Bumgarner against G, who is persisting despite what has been a rough night for him so far. And back-to-back changeups to get ahead of Burris, 0-2. G has had only one 1-2-3 inning. That came in the 2nd. Gave up 3 first-inning runs, and he's been pitching uphill ever since. Burris, the switch-hitting second baseman. He started every game in this series. Ryan Terrio's been ill. And while the Mets have Andres Torres starting his rehab stint tonight as Burris goes down swinging, the Giants have Freddie Sanchez starting his rehab stint tonight, coming back from shoulder surgery. And they figure 2 to 3 weeks, and they should have Sanchez back in the lineup to play second base. Not sure Sanchez is nearly the defensive player that Burris is, but probably adds a little more offense. Here's Brandon Crawford, who struck out and fouled out 0 for 2. Crawford now 2 for 12 in this series. And he takes a curveball for a strike.
Well, all things being equal, Sanchez kind of guy is going to bat around 300 for you. Got a little bit of pop, but if Burris can hit around 280 plus, he and Crawford up the middle add a lot.
Nice drag bunt by Crawford. Murphy's got no shot. You can't do it any better than that. Get it past the pitcher, force the second baseman to handle it. Drag bunting at its best. Well, it's time for the Toyota tweet of the game. We asked you what your thoughts were on the Mets having a pregame presentation for Jose Reyes on his return tomorrow night. Let's see some of your thoughts. At Big Daddy Hustle said he'd rather reminisce after he retires, not while he's still playing.
Must have had spell check, I guess.
H. Nichols adds Reyes was a staple in the Mets lineup, and he deserves something. A montage is okay. Keep it brief, which I think is what the Mets intend. Bumgarner up there. Last time up, Mets ran the wheel play. The Giants hit and ran, and Bumgarner hit a comebacker. Here just the runner at first base, not first and second. He lunges at that bunt attempt and fouls it off. And it's 0-1. I don't know. It seems to me this entire discussion about Reyes and the video presentation has been something of a manufactured outrage.
There's a lot of that going around, by the way. There really is. There's some things that people get crazy about that I just don't understand it. And then if one person talks about it or someone writes about it, then everyone's got to talk about it or everyone's got to write about it. How about thinking about it and then saying to yourself, you know what?
Nicky squeezes the foul bunt attempt, and there are 2 out.
I have a thought about it. I'm not saying I do, but as a fan, I've thought about it. But, you know, either way, whatever they decide to do is fine. It's not going to be. It's only one game. It's not a big deal.
And it's only one moment. I mean, it's over before the game starts, right? I think what you're trying to say is that there are a lot of hours to fill.
Don't be a follower. Be a leader out there, folks. You know? I mean, come on.
Here's Gregor Blanco, who's 2 for 3. A single, a double. He's driven in 2 runs. But try to put yourself in the shoes of the poor sports talk show host who has a certain number of hours to fill every day. You have to talk about something.
Well, yes, you do have to talk about something, but I mean, does everybody have to talk about the same subject? Does everyone get a list every day and they got to knock off each subject? They don't have an original thought?
Talking points?
You know, they've got to talk about. I know, I don't even follow the NFL. I know exactly when the NFL draft is starting on Thursday. Exactly. Where it is, who's in it, who's drafting first. I know who has the 16th pick, and that's from us. I know that.
What's your point?
The point is that it's all nonsense at some point. You know, it's all noise. Come on. Groundbreaking stuff. Come on, let's figure it out.
Well, that's what we do here, but you can't expect everybody to do that.
Well, I don't know if we always do.
No, but that's what we aspire.
Aspire,
yes. Not to follow the crowd.
Yes.
Melky Cabrera on deck. Time called before G throws the pitch. I mean, isn't that what our producer tells us every night? Take it to the next level.
He does. He does. He doesn't want us talking about the same stuff.
That's why he's a brilliant leader of men.
He's got great people skills. He really does. Much better than you and I.
Don't get on his bad side, though.
That's what I've heard. I've heard. You are
playing with fire. There's a strike. Now G ahead on Blanco 1-2. There goes Crawford, and Blanco lines it right to Murphy, who picks it off to end the inning. So G works his way through 6 innings. He's given up 11 hits. He's down 5-1 as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 6th. After the Red Sox were up 3-0, Jared Saltalamacchi with a home run, but things are not going well no matter where the Red Sox play right now. 5 straight losses to finish off their homestand, and now out in Minnesota to start a series. Daniel Murphy leads off in the home 6th. A ground out and a walk against Bumgarner tonight. A ball and a strike. Murphy's been the hottest bat in the Mets lineup. 6 for 14 in this series, but the Mets have not been able to produce in this doubleheader. 1 run and 8 hits in the first game, 1 run and 3 hits in the nightcap. And Murphy hits the breaking ball weakly down to first, and Pill takes it to the bag. 1 away.
Despite the 3-2 counts, not a lot of balls hit hard off Bumgarner. He's just one of those guys who doesn't seem to find the middle of the bat too often, despite the 3 home runs that he's given up early in the season here.
Really, first 2 times through the batting order, Jason Bay's the only guy who hit the ball hard. Here's David Wright, who's 0 for 2, a couple of ground balls. David 0 for 6 in the doubleheader and just 1 for 13 in this series as he has cooled down after his roaring hot start. Mets getting their first look at Madison Bumgarner tonight, and like everybody else in baseball, they have to be very impressed with what they've seen. Bumgarner, one of the rising pitching stars in the game. Former first-round draft pick out of high school. Made his debut in 2009 at a very young age. Made his first big league start at the age of 20, and now at age 22 in his second full year in the Giants rotation. There's a call strike, and it's 2-1. And it's nice when a young pitcher is able to come up and be the third, maybe fourth wheel in an already established star rotation.
We're also talking about a young guy who can learn a lot from guys like Kane and Lincecum and, you know, Barry Zito's expertise for all his great years. Who's left-handed.
Big cut by Wright, and it's 3-2. I mean, you think about when the Mets brought the Generation K pitchers up in the middle of the 90s, and they were being asked to be top of the rotation starters as youngsters, and that's a difficult task for any pitcher.
All great from the beginning, all at the same time. It doesn't happen very often.
That's why when the Mets finally do promote their prospect pitchers in the next year or two, you'd like them not to have that much pressure on their shoulders. You know, you'd like to have 2 or 3 established guys at the top of the rotation so that they can work their way in slowly, take their lumps at the big league level.
Well, one of the things I like about whenever you put together a rotation, part of it's luck. You know, what are the guys when they come up that are ready to pitch at this level?
Right. It's another weak ground ball, and Burris takes care of that one for the second out.
But you always like when your starting staff has great diversity. And they do, you know, starting with Lincecum, who there's absolutely no one in baseball that throws like he does. Matt Cain, who's that just prototypical power pitcher, comes right at you. Vogelsong, a little song and dance here and there. Barry Zito now has gotten to the point now where he's more of a soft tosser but can still compete with anyone. And then Bumgarner, who has a chance to really be an elite left-hander.
Here's Jason Bay. Has that only hard hit ball against Bumgarner, a solid single to center field his last time up, and that was after Bay tried to make a diving play on Gregor Blanco's fly ball and looked like he might have banged his shoulder, but stayed in the game and was able to hit the ball hard. But that's been a rarity against Bumgarner tonight.
Yeah, the other 2 hits were the RBI single by Turner, but it kind of jammed him a little, got that ball up the middle, and then Neuenhuis's bat was broken on his hit. He's 22 years old. You don't see one expression, no wasted energy, no walking around the mound. Gets the ball, puts it in his glove. Let's go. What's next? And he's a lot bigger than he may look on the mound. He's a big guy.
6'4", solid 220. Outside and low 2-2. Just inside 3-2.
It's interesting with Bumgarner. He has that kind of grunt that you hear from the tennis players when they try to serve an ace, when he tries to add a little on that fastball.
Another full count, and Bay takes low ball 4. So the Mets have a 2-out base runner. Second walk given up by Bumgarner. So Scott Hairston will get a turn with the man on base. Scott has struck out and flying to left 0 for 2. Well, that time Bumgarner was a little bummed out.
Yes, he was. Well, you know, it's interesting. We're talking about how not many balls hit hard, but this is not Bumgarner at his best. He's usually very efficient, throws a lot of strikes, hasn't been able to catch those pitches on the outside part or get some calls from Dana DeMuth. He's been very consistent tonight.
By the way, if you're wondering about Madison Bumgarner's first name, there's no significance to it. His mom said that they looked at a list of baby names. They liked the name. They named him Madison. And then about a year or two later, she started to realize that there were a lot of kids being named Madison, and they were all girls.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of Splash, the movie.
That's the thing. I guess they hadn't seen the movie. Here's the 1-1 at the feet of Hairston and knocked down by by Sanchez, and it's 2-1.
I'm sure that Madison had the same reaction that I always tell you about my son Jordan when he came back from school, first year in first grade, first day. Comes back home and he's got a pout on his face that only a 6-year-old can have. And I said, "What's wrong with you? You didn't like school? It's not good." He says, "Thanks for naming me a girl's name. That was fantastic." And it was. Apparently had a couple of girls in his class named Jordan.
Hairston pops one up into shallow center, and Blanco in under it to put it away to retire the side. So he had to deal with Jordan and Darling at the same time.
That's tough.
Man, a tough kid. Drive around the majors presented by Kia Motors. Denny Valencia with the home run. Twins in front of the Red Sox, who are trying to avoid their 6th straight loss. The Brewers just got a home run from Ryan Braun to stretch their lead over Houston 5-2 in the 5th. And not pictured there, Kansas City down 3-1 to Toronto in the 6th. Royals have lost 10 in a row.
Cool.
This was supposed to be their year, right? Maybe not. Manny Acosta up in the bullpen for New York. Melky Cabrera fists one out to right field, and in comes Hairston to grab it. One away. I mean, they've got a lot of young talent in Kansas City, but you have to be able to pitch, right?
Well, you talked about it before, about having all your young pitchers at Generation K come up at the same time and be great. They're asking Hosmer and Moustakas and you know, to all be great at the same time. That's a lot to ask.
Now Pablo Sandoval, who delivered the keynote in this game with a monstrous home run back in the 1st inning. There's that Red Sox score. Boston 4-10 to start the year. Sandoval 2 for 3 in this game. Now has 6 hits in the series. And G comes inside and ties him up. A ball and a strike.
You think WEEI and Boston is spending any time talking about the Red Sox?
See, now they don't have to create controversies. They've had them thrown right into their lap ever since last September.
That's right.
I mean, think about it. Between the Red Sox collapse and then the aftermath with the chicken and you know, and the manager gets fired, and the general manager runs off to Chicago, and now with Bobby V and
every day
loose lips. It's incredible. What a plethora of talk show material for those people. That's before you even get to Belichick.
That's right.
Here's the 2-2 just inside, and a full count to Sandoval.
How about Sandoval working the count tonight? The second game.
Maybe he's a little tired. And on 3-2, the Panda takes a curveball that just missed for ball 4. So a 1-out walk to Sandoval. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Toyota. When you choose Toyota, you get a lot for less. Toyota. By State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Hector Camillo of the Bronx. Contact Hector's office at hectorcamillo.com. And by Citi. Visit Mets.com/Citi Chalk Talk to learn about a special 1-hour Chalk Talk with Sandy Alderson and Ron Darling on May the 5th. That was Dylan G's first walk of the night. Now Nate Scherholtz, who has had himself quite a doubleheader. 3 for 5 in the first game with a triple and a home run. 2 for 3 in the second game with another triple. Up to 366 for the year. Turner holds against Sandoval. And there's the good changeup by G.
It's having a Ted Williams kind of doubleheader, isn't he? What was Ted? 6 for 8 in that doubleheader to push it to 406.
Last day of the 1941 season. Hector Sanchez on deck. Not sure Ted had 2 triples that day, though. Wasn't a big part of his game. I've seen film of Ted Williams running, though, and he ran like a colt.
Yeah.
You know?
That hadn't been really broken in yet.
Legs splaying all over the place. Popped up. Nicky is coming back for a look, but that'll be back in the crowd. And it's 2-2.
Sometimes he just needed the trot. 521 times, I believe.
Including his last at bat.
Wow.
Ran around the dugout with his head down and into the around the bases with his head down into the dugout without tipping his cap, and then disappeared into the sunset. Swing and a miss, and G has a strikeout. Second time he's gotten Scherholtz. 5 for the game for G.
It's interesting, as the game has gone along, G has used that changeup a little more than he did earlier in the game.
Well, it's not been a great night for Dylan. He gave up 3 first-inning runs and he's been in the hole ever since. But if he can get through 7 and save the bullpen a little aggravation, that would certainly be helpful. Sanchez is 0 for 2, had a sacrifice fly back in the first inning. We've just confirmed no triples in Ted Williams. 6 for 8 final day in 41. A double, a homer, and 4 singles. Good curveball by G, and it's a ball and a strike to Sanchez.
This young Sanchez seems to be out of the Sandoval school, isn't he? He likes it. He's going to take a whack at it.
Why not? It's working for Sandoval.
That's right.
And Sanchez cracks one to deep right field. Back goes Hairston, takes a look, and it's out of here. First home run for Hector Sanchez, and the Giants stretch their lead to 7-1. For the 22-year-old catcher, his first major league home run. He had a huge hit on Friday night in the first game of the series, and now he provides the icing for the Giants tonight.
Little change up that drifted and came back down and in to Sanchez.
So G is done after 6 2/3. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Fios. Welcome to America's fastest, most consistent, most reliable internet. Welcome to Life on Fios. Double switch for the Mets. Lucas Duda will play right field and bat ninth, and the new pitcher Manny Acosta will hit fifth in the order.
He was asked to get an out in the fourth inning of the first game today, and asked again here in the seventh.
Brett Pill up with 2 out and nobody on, and takes a breaking ball in the dirt. So Dylan G skating along after giving up 5 runs early, trying to get through the 7th, but Hector Sanchez ruined that plan with a 2-run homer, his first big league home run. And now the Giants, who won the first game 6-1, are up in the nightcap 7-1. Ball and a strike to Pill. Rough day at the office for G. 6 2/3 innings, 7 runs, 12 hits, a walk, 5 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. First real tough start of the year for Dylan. And after the Mets had a great run of starting pitching, where all of their starters had a turn through the rotation where they gave up 1 run or no runs, this last time through, not quite as good. Santana getting knocked down in the second, Dickey getting roughed up.
Lee's having a quality start, but his one tough inning cost the Mets.
And Pelfrey had the best of the bunch.
Fantastic, yeah. 1 run in 8 innings.
They'll start it again tomorrow night with Santana matched up against Josh Johnson in the first game of the series against the Marlins. And that's ball 4, so Acosta comes in and walks Pill, who's on base for the 3rd time in the game. That keeps the inning alive for Emmanuel Burris. And then Wednesday night, one that I'm looking forward to, and don't get here late Wednesday night because you might miss a substantial part of the game. You got Mark Burley for the Marlins and R.A. Dickey for the Mets.
That's right.
And if either one or both is on their game, could be a tough night for the concessionaires.
The longest part of the game will be our commercials.
Well, that goes without saying. But they're good commercials.
Yes.
Burris is 1 for 3 in this game. Single to right, scored a run in the 4th.
You see the matchup that they're going to have tomorrow night in Texas? Kuroda against Darvish.
Wow. That's 2 big-time pitchers from Japan. It'll be about 8 in the morning.
Yes.
In Japan. So some folks might just be late for work. Well, Darvish is a sight to see. I mean, he's different from all those other Japanese pitchers. Well, first of all, he's only what, half Japanese, quarter Japanese? I'm not sure exactly what the
I think he's half Japanese and half Iranian.
Along the left field line, long run for Bay, and this time he's able to squeeze it to end the inning. But Hector Sanchez with a 2-run homer extends the Giants' lead. 7th inning stretch in Game 2. We're taking a travel log all around the city, aren't we? 30 Rock. Where's Tina? TIXX for your tickets now. Kevin's report is brought to you by Delta. Keep climbing, and Kevin, those Marlins are already in town.
No, they've been here. The game in Washington was postponed on Sunday, so they've had a couple nights to relax and get ready for tomorrow night. And it's been an interesting study. Obviously, they've had quite a few things going on off the field down there in Miami. They're 7-8. Defense has been an issue. They've made 14 errors and a lot of bad plays. That's hurt them so far. And they've also had some quirky things on offense, like Giancarlo Stanton doesn't have a home run yet. Logan Morrison had his first extra base hit the other night with a home run off Lidge. But I think, to me, the interesting study has been Hanley Ramirez. There's a lot of talk about the former batting champ. Could he return to form? He's off to a good start, guys. He's got 4 home runs, and he's hit 3 of them in that big ballpark. He's got 12 RBIs. Talked to a scout about Ramirez and said, you know what, to me, looks like he's going to bounce in a step. I was impressed because I thought he was in a lot better shape. Lost weight, moving around real well, and looks very, very good at the plate. Obviously, the question is his defense. I mean, and that's going to be the thing. He said for him, he just looks, as you would expect, a little indecisive. There was a game against Cincinnati where there was a ball down the line where he should have backhanded, didn't try to get in front of it. It got by him, and then the Reds scored the game-winning run. So that's going to be a work in progress. But offensively, he's inspired and he's hitting. Guys, I was watching one of the games last week against the Cubs. He even dropped down a bunt base hit when the Cubs weren't expecting it. So I think his A game might be back at the plate.
Well, if Hanley can replicate what he did 2 years ago before things started going south for him, I mean, that's just a huge plus for the Marlins. So Clay Hensley up in the bullpen for the Giants as Neuenhuis fouls one back.
I never really said it on air, but I used to say to you guys, whenever Hanley came to New York, he always tried to prove that he was a better player than Reyes every time they would be in the series. Now he has a chance to do it every day.
Meanwhile, Jose has gotten off to only a so-so offensive start, and he's made a bunch of errors in the field. And you wonder whether the pressure of the new contract might be weighing on him at least a little bit. Nieuwenhuis 1 for 2 in this game, 3 for 6 in the doubleheader.
And guys, and Ramirez has made a real effort too to kind of just show people that he's, you know, being a good teammate and taking the move to third and stride. He's tweeted a few photos of he and Reyes out to dinner and things like that. So he's trying to keep the attitude positive and kind of show everybody that it's been no big deal.
Well, there's no question that having Jose Reyes next to you can keep you positive.
That's right.
You know, nobody's going to provide a team with more energy, and I know how much Hanley respects Jose. And while they were friendly rivals in the past, now they are friendly side-by-side teammates. And while Heath Bell got off to the rough start, closing games after signing the new big contract with the Marlins, but it looks like he has gotten himself righted, as you figured he would. Slow roller to shortstop. Crawford waits on it and throws out Nieuwenhuis for the second out. So Madison Bumgarner rolling right along, working on a 3-hitter with the big lead in the 7th. 2 out for Mike Nickias.
I'm seeing something that I've never seen before, Gary. You know Al, our cameraman?
Yeah, of course.
Al's not going 9. He just had a replacement come in and left. I think that's Jack on the camera. Here he is.
There's Jack.
Jack, what's Al doing?
A little call of nature. I mean, that can't happen.
Not if you're a pro.
Well, Al might be tired, you know.
Listen, he did the Red Sox-Yankee game the other day. Maybe that's it.
Well, he was supposed to do the game last night at Boston. Of course, that got rained out. Double clutch by Crawford. Still throws out Nickias. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Bumgarner and a 7-1 Giants lead after 7. Jason Bay coming out of the game. You might recall earlier in the ball game, Bay chasing a fly ball by Gregor Blanco, and a ball go in and out of his glove and landed very hard on his face and on his shoulder. Stayed in the game, got a base hit after that, but you have to wonder whether that shoulder is tightened up a little bit. We'll try and find out if that's the issue or if he's just getting the last couple of innings off. Brandon Crawford leads off in the 8th against Manny Acosta. Crawford had a bunt singles last time up, a beautiful drag bunt. His 3rd hit of the doubleheader. And the pitcher Bumgarner out on deck to bat for himself. 107 pitches deep in his night. Crawford strokes one down to 3rd where David Wright is there. 1 out. 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin standing by with a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. let's see, they had won 13 in a row in San Diego before they lost those last 2.
That's right.
Now down early. Well, Bumgarner out on deck, but he was pulled back and now getting the handshakes after his 7 terrific innings tonight. Javier Lopez getting ready in the bullpen. So Brandon Belt will pinch it for the Giants. First pitch swinging, hits it well out to left center. Overcomes Neuenhuis, and that's the second out of the inning. So Belt flies out on the first pitch he sees, 2 out and nobody on. Well, you couldn't be more impressed by what you saw from Madison Bumgarner tonight.
And the stuff he had at the end of the game was equal or maybe better than the stuff he had earlier in the game. So pretty strong effort.
2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a run on 3 hits. And Bumgarner in line for his 3rd win against 1 loss this year. Now Gregor Blanco, who's had himself a fine game, playing center field in place of Angel Pagan in game 2. He had a single, stole a base, and scored a run in the first. Then he drove in 2 with a 2-out opposite field double in the 4th. That was the ball that went off Bay's glove and caused Bay to land so heavily. And Acosta gets ahead of him 0-2. Manny Acosta got the final out of the 7th, trying to work his way through this 8th with Melky Cabrera on deck. Acosta working in back of Dylan G, who got laced for 7 runs in 6 2/3. A ball and 2 strikes to Blanco. Low and away, and it's 2-2. It has been a long afternoon and evening of baseball in which the smattering of Met fans who made their way out to Citi Field today have not had very much to cheer about.
Yeah.
And a full count to Blanco. It's going to be a very interesting atmosphere in this ballpark tomorrow night. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to that night for a long time.
Yeah, there's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be electric here. Lots of energy. A lot of Reyes fans, of course, are going to come.
Down the left field side, Baxter over near the stands, but that's in the crowd. And the thing you know from having watched Jose all these years, game starts at 7:10. He'll be on the on-deck circle at 7:02.
Yeah, he will. You and I would always be amazed at that he would start getting ready, and I mean, he was on a different clock than everyone else.
Strike 3 call. Blanco down looking. First strikeout for Acosta. Mets will come up in the bottom of the 8th with Duda to lead off, down 7-1. NY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Here's your Mets box score brought to you by Verizon, and not much going on in Game 2. Justin Turner with the only RBI. Mets have managed only 3 hits over the first 7 innings against Madison Bumgarner. Now Bumgarner out of the game, and veteran left-hander Javier Lopez will take over. Lopez struggled in the first game of this series, but you can see it's not reflected in his record. Still a 0 ERA. Lucas Duda leads off in the home 8th inning. Duda up for the first time in this game. Came in a double switch. Went 0 for 2 in the first game, but walked 3 times. He's 1 for 6 in this series. It'll be Duda, then Tejada and Murphy for the Mets as they try and get something going here in the bottom of the 8th. And Duda swinging and missing at the breaking ball, 1-1. Well, things not going well for Kyle Kendrick in his start tonight.
And that's without a couple of their stars there in Arizona.
Well, Chris Young is on the shelf for a while. Justin Upton is playing, but he's playing with a bad thumb. Javier Lopez making his 3rd appearance in this series, and neither of the first 2 went particularly well. And Duda foul tips one. It's held 2-2. Meanwhile, the Red Sox have come back to tie up the Twins 5-5 on a Cody Ross home run. Talk about a team playing without some stars.
Well, Cody Ross has played all right for him, though.
He's had to. In that outfield, without Ellsbury, without Crawford. 3-2 now to Duda.
Well, this visiting team might not have made it all the way without Cody Ross.
Well, he was part of that special group with the Giants in 2010 that had a bunch of guys have career years. Duda finds the gap in right center field, and that ball will roll all the way to the fence. And Duda strides into second base with a leadoff double. And so Javier Lopez, who has really had a dreadful series, sees his troubles continue.
Just a hanging slider. Nice job of Duda staying right on top of that baseball, gap to gap. I got to see the pregame today. We don't get to see, you have to watch it that often. And Bavio went through a thing where Lucas was struggling on a slider, so it's nice to see him hitting that slider and hitting it with authority.
So the Mets have just their 4th hit of this game and their first extra base hit. Now Ruben Tejada, who went 0 for 3 against Bumgarner, ground out 2 strikeouts. And Tejada hits one out to center, shallow. In comes Blanco, but it lands for a base hit. Duda heads to third. Blanco throws there, and Duda arrives just in time. Well, Blanco broke back on that ball. That cost him a play to catch it. Made the quick throw as he tried to deke Duda, and he almost got him.
Some kind of arm. Quick tag by Sandoval. Duda right there, about 10 feet off the base, 15 feet off the base, and nice play by Blanco. Duda's foot in the air there, but finally gets it on the base.
So the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out. And Daniel Murphy coming up with David Wright to follow. Murphy 0 for 2 with a walk in this game. But he has been a hot hitter. Tejada not being held on with the Mets down by 6 runs in the 8th.
I know you're down 6 runs, but if he's going to play way off you, then you need to take that bag, but not playing. He's standing right behind him until the pitch is delivered.
So you don't want to make any mistakes. But you'd also love to take the double play out of order.
Yeah, and on a single, get a little closer into this game.
And Murphy strokes one the other way. Duda tags at third. Cabrera makes the catch. Duda comes in to score. Murphy has a sacrifice fly. It's now 7-2. So the Mets have a run home here in the 8th, 1 out and 1 on, and now David Wright is looking for his first hit of the day. Went 0 for 4 in the opener and 0 for 3 in this game with 3 ground balls against Bumgarner. Clay Hensley staying ready in the Giants bullpen. And Lopez deals to Wright, and an off-speed pitch had him out in front. Bumgarner went 7 innings, allowed a run on 3 hits, walked 2 and struck out 4. Lopez having his problems, but gets right to roll over that one foul, and it's 0-2. Jeremy Affeldt, the other lefty in the Giants bullpen, worked in the first game of the doubleheader. A ball and 2 strikes to Wright.
Well, the Mets have so many left-handed hitters that when teams come in here, left-handers are going to pitch out of the bullpen. They're going to get lots of work.
If you're a team coming in to play the Mets and you only have 1 lefty in the bullpen, you might be well served to bring another guy up.
That's right.
Before the series begins. Mets stuffed as many right-handed bats into the lineup in this second game as possible against Bumgarner and still had 2 lefties in the starting lineup. Here's a 2-2. And that misses, ball 3. So Lopez, after getting ahead 2 strikes on Wright, has gone full. Mike Baxter, another left-hand hitter on deck. Mets do not have a right-handed reserve in this game. Remember, Bay came out. Baxter came in for him for defense. 3-2, and there's ball 4. So Lopez, after getting ahead 0-2 with a 5-run lead, loses David Wright to a walk. Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple has a preview of what's coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night.
Gary, thanks so much. Coming up tonight, going to have the latest on the Rangers. They look to keep their season alive. And Darrelle Revis of the Jets talking about another holdout. See you tonight, guys.
It's too early to hold out. It's only April. Come on.
You're going to wait till it means something.
Dave Righetti a visit to the mound. Javier Lopez, who has struggled in all 3 of his appearances in this series, will now face Mike Baxter with 2 men on. You saw Bobby Parnell, who worked in the first game of the doubleheader, getting ready again here in the nightcap. Meanwhile, the Mets trying to put something together. They've got a run home here in the 8th, 2 on for Baxter. His first at bat in this game after he went 1 for 4 in the opener and drove in the Mets' only run in that game. And he takes it wide for ball 1.
I'm sure Righetti went out to Lopez and said, hey, listen, throw your fastball, throw some strikes. 3-2 changeup to David Wright with a 5-run lead.
Hensley was up earlier in the inning. There's nobody up right now, although with Righetti on the phone, I think that'll change in a minute. And Baxter takes inside, 2-0. The pitcher is due up next for New York, and Jordani Valdespin, who was just activated between games of the doubleheader, is set to make his major league debut. Now Lopez behind on Baxter, 2-0. And Mike takes it low and inside, ball 3. So it's all falling apart for Javier Lopez as the Mets, down by 6 runs when they came to bat here in the 8th inning, are getting some free base runners. 3-0. And it's inside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So back-to-back walks to Wright and Baxter. Bruce Bochy a little puzzled, and now Jordani Valdespin will make his major league debut. As Valdespin is announced into the game, Bochy heads out to the mound. He doesn't have a pitcher warming up in the bullpen, but he's got to make a pitching change because this is the second visit.
Well, Hensley was ready to go. He was just done throwing pitches, so he just went in and waited for the call and knew he was going to get it.
And so the call goes out for Hensley, who comes in to face Valdespin. They take out the left-hand pitcher, bringing a righty to face the left-hand hitting Valdespin. Bad outing for Lopez as the Mets fight back. Clay Hensley comes in the 8th inning into a bases loaded mess. Hensley making his 3rd appearance in the 4 games of the series, and Jordany Valdespin will greet him. His first big league plate appearance, and it comes with the bases loaded. That's what Valdespin was doing at Buffalo this year, hitting .276 with a couple of home runs. Tejada at 3rd, Wright at 2nd, and Baxter at 1st with 1 out. Mets need 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate. And the pitch to Valdespin, swinging and a pop-up. The infield fly rule will be called. The batter is out as Crawford squeezes it. Valdespin sees 1 pitch and pops up for the 2nd out. Now Ike Davis is going to bat for Justin Turner with a right-hander in the game. Ike had a very rough first game today, went 0 for 4 and left 8 runners on base, including twice with the bases loaded. But he brings the power threat to the plate, batting for Turner with the right-hander in the game. So this is the 3rd consecutive at bat for Davis over the 2 games today with the bases loaded. He hit into a double play in the 5th inning of game 1 and grounded out in the 7th inning. And now he pulls off the first pitch changeup from Hensley, and it's 0-1.
Left 8 runners aboard on that first game.
It's been a real rough go for Ike, and maybe never worse than in that first game today. Santiago Casilla up in the bullpen. Meanwhile, something gets loose out in the outfield.
Baseball.
Gregor Blanco, the center fielder, goes over to retrieve it.
A breaking pitch that didn't break, obviously.
It's not supposed to come out the door, is it? That's very wild from that bullpen out at the right center. Mets as a team are now 0 for 12 with the bases loaded this year. And that's a strike, and a very wide one. 0-2.
Well, this is a pitch that Dana DeMuth, home plate umpire, hasn't called all day. The ball's, a foot outside.
Well into the right-hand batter's box.
I mean,
that's Vanover-esque.
Well, this is what happens when you're in a slump, is that everything seems to go against you, including the calls.
And the curveball from Hensley inside. Ball on 2 strikes.
Hensley wanted that one, but that might have been a makeup call there by DeMuth.
Tejada, Wright, and Baxter grab a lead. If Davis can keep it going, Kirk Neuenhuis would be next. But Ike behind in the count, 1-2. It's the last time in the middle of April that the Mets had 2 players make their big league debuts the same day. Jeremy Hefner in game 1, Jordany Valdespin in game 2. Right about this time of year that Ike Davis made his big league debut a couple of years ago. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1-2 to Davis. Check swing, and he held in time. Gesterbrook with the call, and it's 2-2. Clay Hensley, who did some great work with the Marlins 2 years ago, only to fall off the table last year. And off to a good start with the Giants this season. And he bounces that one. It's 3-2. Good stop by Sanchez. So now the merry-go-round will be in motion, with Neuenhuis on deck. Tejada, Wright, and Baxter will all be running with a pitch with 3-2 and 2 down. If Davis can get on, Neuenhuis would be the tying run at bat.
3-2 curveball here.
In there for a call, strike 3, and Davis fires away the bat in frustration. It just can't get any worse for Ike Davis. The 3rd straight at bat over 2 games that he's left the bases loaded. We go to the ninth. 7-2 Giants. Davis, none worse than what he's gone through today. He stays in at first base after pinch hitting, and Bobby Parnell will pitch the ninth inning.
Good part of those numbers, those walks.
Well, Ike fired the bat away in frustration after taking this call third strike that he must have thought was low.
Sanchez caught that ball funny. DeMuth calls him out. The throwing of the bat, which usually records an automatic fine from the umpire.
But here's part of what leadership's about. You're getting blown out for the second time today, and you make sure that you diffuse the situation.
This conversation goes like this: Dana, leave him alone. He's going through a tough stretch right now. He's not that kind of a guy. You'd like him. He's a good guy. Let it go. You need someone in your court sometimes when you're struggling.
It's real easy to be a leader when things are going well. It's a lot harder when everything around you is dismal, as it has been today, especially for Ike Davis. Melky Cabrera floats one down the left field line. Baxter to the sidewall, but it's out of play.
You know, I'm not making any excuses because I don't do that. But put it this way. I'm trying to put it in perspective for people out there. In your formative years, as you're starting to start your career, you've had some great success, and they say, you know what, you can't play baseball this year. And then come back and be the same. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it takes some time. Sometimes it doesn't at all. It's harder than you can realize.
Pablo Sandoval waiting on deck. And the other piece
of that. I'm saying, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you miss a whole season. This is a game of timing, and you're trying to get that back. But the other piece of it is that you're also asked that if you do fail, that you not emote.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've talked about it before that, you know, Ike has a tendency to do things that might make umpires upset.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard to restrain yourself when nothing's going right for you. And right now, nothing is going right for you. 3-2 from Parnell to Cabrera. And he struck him out. Bobby Parnell with 97-mile-an-hour heat, fanning the first man to face him.
Did you say it was a full count, Gary?
Yeah.
Okay.
First one today? Maybe not.
Nice fastball from Bobby.
Parnell pitched the 8th inning in Game 1 today. He gave up a walk and an infield hit. but was able to work out of that jam. Now Sandoval, who had the big hit in this game back in the first inning. Dylan G trying to get him out with a high fastball on a 1-2 pitch, and Sandoval buried it halfway up the Pepsi porch in right field. Inside out's one foul, 0-1. Sandoval's added a single and a walk, so he's 2 for 3 in this game.
You know how a guy is a free swinger? Is that when you go up against a relief pitcher who can throw 100 miles an hour and you get a curve and you still swing at it. That is the definition of a free swinger.
Doesn't matter to him. It's the simplest theory in hitting, right? See the ball, hit the ball.
Who was the Pirate catcher? Manny Sanguillen? He was a guy that was a free swinger. Ozzie Guillen, manager of the Marlins. Notorious.
Vladimir Guerrero.
And of course, you go all the way back to those great Yankee teams. Yogi Berra, the best of all time.
Roberto Clemente,
yeah.
Great bad ball hitter. Swing and a miss, and Parnell has back-to-back strikeouts. Let's head to the studio, see what's coming up on WB Mason Postgame Live. Checking with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda, guys. All right, guys, we'll check in with you in a little bit. Here's Nate Shearholtz, who had a triple back in the first, a single in the third, 5 hits in the doubleheader, and he rolls one slowly up the first baseline, a foul ball.
His last 2 at bats, strikeouts for Shearholtz. I'm thinking maybe he just got a little tired running the bases.
2 triples in the doubleheader today, had a 3-run homer in game 1.
You know, he's a tremendous defensive player. If they get him to hit like he's been hitting so far after this quick start, what a plus that'll be. And you mentioned it before, Gary. Might be Shearholtz playing every day. You know, Aubrey Huff might be relegated to the bench for the most part. Some of these younger guys playing. Burris playing every day.
Thus far, they've been reluctant to play Shearholtz a lot against lefties, but it keeps going the way he's going.
Yeah.
You have to figure he's going to get a shot to play every day.
Crawford, Burris right there in the picture. Angel in the jacket. Angel Pagan.
The Giants will be heading to Cincinnati after the game tonight. It's a long day, 2 games and then travel.
Yeah.
A lot easier after a couple of wins. Mets will lick their wounds and welcome in the Marlins tomorrow night. Bruce Bochy's team, a game over 500, trying to go 2 over after a slow start. Cracked to center, and Shearholtz has himself another hit. So 3 hit games in both ends of the doubleheader for Nate Shearholtz. And the Giants have their 13th hit of this game. Bobby Parnell, today's Cholula hot sauce flamethrower. He just hit 98 miles an hour on that last pitch. 110 back the other way.
Yeah, exactly. That was at the end of my career. That's the only way I could get a Cholula hot sauce off the bat.
It's Hector Sanchez, who has 3 RBIs in this game, a sac fly in the first and a 2-run homer in the 7th, his first big league home run. And from the reaction after the home run, it looks like they retrieved that ball for Mr. Sanchez to put on his mantelpiece.
Well, it went into the Modell's area, and you know, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump from the bullpen of the Giants, and I'm sure that someone was sent over there to let them know.
There's the ball coming down, and little wrestle for the ball, and somebody took a tumble there.
Someone's experiencing the art of Hapkido as they knock someone down trying to go after that baseball.
I mean, this isn't Barry Bonds number 700, was it?
You think that was 660 to Ty Willie?
Swing and a miss, and Parnell fans 3 in the inning. So another good inning for Bobby Parnell. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Neuenhuis to lead off. The Asbury Park Little League turned their sandlot into a field of dreams with the SNY Play Ball Award. Now it's your turn. Help your youth baseball or softball league with a $5,000 grant. Apply for the SNY Play Ball Award presented by Citi today at sny.tv/playball. Santiago Casilla will try and wrap up a long day of baseball for the Giants.
Well, he had a great year last year, 1.74 ERA, 51 2/3, and gave up 1 home run in those 51 2/3 innings.
Kirk Neuenhuis 1 for 3 in game 2 after a couple of hits in the first game today. Casilla's faced only one batter in this series. Remember, they brought him in to try and close the first game on Friday night. As it's hit behind the bag, and Pill is there to grab it and retire Neuenhuis for the first out. Jason Bay got an infield hit against Casilla. Then they pulled him, brought in Javier Lopez, and he blew the save. Now a non-save situation for Casilla, and he gets his first man.
Guys, I thought this was interesting. So, as we saw in Game 1, Jeremy Hefner gets called up, makes his Major League debut, 3 scoreless innings, and then unfortunately for him after the game gets sent right back down because Valdespin got activated. But meanwhile, in his place at Buffalo, they needed a starter because he was supposed to start their game. So they summoned on Dylan Owen, who was in the bullpen. So Owen gets a start. Didn't get the win, but pitched well. Hits a home run. First home run for a Bison's pitcher in 17 years. Who did the home run come off of? Phillies AAA pitcher Pat Mish.
Ooh.
Bison's won, by the way, 5-1.
6 degrees or something, right?
Yeah, right.
6 degrees was probably the weather in Buffalo. Wow.
That's right. They got a lot of snow, didn't they?
They got snowed out in Scranton today. It's not too far away. 2-1 to Mike Nickius, who's 0 for 3 on the day. Lucas Duda on deck.
Didn't they get snowed? Was that Aki's game snow too? I had heard that might have been a snow issue.
In Pittsburgh today?
Yeah.
Yeah, could well have been. They got postponed. Grounded to Crawford at shortstop. And makes the throw to get Nickius. And now the Mets are down to their final out of the day. Here's that postponement in Pittsburgh. Snow in the area. See the Cardinals up in Chicago. Duda, in his only at bat in this game, doubled to right center and scored a run in the 8th. Well, we mentioned earlier, it's the 36th time the Mets and Giants have played 2 games in one day. The last time the Mets swept those 2 games, 1979.
Wow. But the Giants have been the sweepers, haven't they, in this?
Well, the Mets have had worse second games of doubleheaders than this one. We talked about the 23-inning game in '64, but they also, in the second game of a doubleheader at Candlestick in 1975, were no hit by Ed Halicki. Popped up, Crawford out. Can he get there? No, not quite. Got his glove on it, but couldn't make the over-the-shoulder catch, and so Duda's got a base hit, and the Mets are still alive. Crawford's made every other play in this series. This would have been a spectacular end.
He is so good that Melky didn't even try for that. He said, you know what, he'll probably make the play. Never seen a shortstop with that kind of range in a long time, maybe since number 3.
Well, Ordonez.
I didn't get to watch him play enough.
He would have been the only guy I can remember who would go that far on pop-ups. So, 2 out and a runner at first, and here's Ruben Tejada, who had a pop fly single his last time up, 1 for 4 in this game. Mets now have 6 hits in this game. They had a run on 8 hits in the first game. And Ruben bounces one to shortstop. Crawford's got this one, and that's your final out of the night. The Giants sweep a doubleheader from the Mets after winning the opener 6-1. They get 3 in the first, 2 of them on a bomb of a home run by Pablo Sandoval, and they never look back as the Giants win the nightcap 7-2.
Well, just not enough good starting pitching by the Mets today. Dylan G went a little deeper, but still gave up 7 runs. Mets did not have enough offense. Good pitching by the Giants. And in a 4-game series where they did not pitch Matt Cain, the Giants still take 3 out of 4.
Madison Bumgarner, his first start against the Mets, very impressive. 7 innings, only 3 hits allowed as the Giants win it by the final score of 7-2 and sweep the doubleheader. More coming up from Citi Field in just a moment.